Let's journey back in time to a quiet corner of the desert. We're going to explore a single, incredible moment that didn't just change one man's life, but it set in motion a plan that would change the world. It's the story of a shepherd, a bush that was on fire but wasn't burning up, and the voice of God calling out from those very flames. Right at the heart of this whole encounter is this total paradox. It's a sight that just shouldn't be possible. Think about it. A fire that has all the intensity and all the heat, but it doesn't destroy a thing. This was God's signal. It was an invitation so strange, so compelling, that a shepherd just trying to get through his day had to stop, turn around, and take a closer look. But before we even get to the fire, we have to understand the man who saw it. This isn't a story about some great king or a mighty warrior. No, this is about Moses, a man living in exile, a fugitive from Egypt, just quietly going about his business, tending his father-in-law's sheep on the far side of the desert. I mean, the contrast here is just staggering, isn't it? This is the man who was once a prince of Egypt. He was raised with unbelievable power, privilege, and education. And now he's a fugitive, a simple shepherd in some forgotten land. And what's so powerful to me is that God didn't call Moses when he was at the height of his power, but right here, in this quiet, humble, hidden place. So on what probably felt like just another ordinary day, Moses leads his flock to a very specific place, Horeb, which the Bible calls the mountain of God. It's right here, in this remote and already significant place, that a totally normal day of work is about to be interrupted by something truly spectacular. The angel of the Lord appears in a flame of fire, coming right out of the middle of a bush. And when Moses sees this impossible thing happening, he makes a simple choice that changes everything. He actually says to himself, "I will turn aside and see this great sight." And right there, that simple act of curiosity became the first step toward his divine destiny. Can you just imagine what was racing through his mind? This one question must have been echoing in his head. It makes no sense. This wasn't just some weird fire, this was clearly a sign. It was something that was meant to be investigated. It was an invitation to come closer. And the moment the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, well, that's when everything changed. The amazing sight became an unmistakable sound. A voice called out to him from the very center of that fire, using his name not once, but twice to really get his attention. Moses, Moses. Now listen carefully to God's very first command. It's not a job to do or a message he needs to deliver. No, it's a call for reverence. Before anything else can happen, Moses has to understand that he is standing in the presence of the sacred. Taking off his shoes wasn't just some cultural custom. It was a profound act of humility, of respect, of submitting to the Holy One. And this right here tells us what holy ground really is. See, it was never about the dirt or the rocks of the mountain itself. It was God's direct presence that made it holy. And the incredible truth in that is that any place, any moment, can become holy ground the instant God reveals himself there. So after God reveals that he's seen the suffering of his people in Egypt and that he's ready to rescue them, he gives Moses his mission. He says, "Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh." But Moses' response, it isn't this burst of courage or excitement. It's just a raw, honest question full of self-doubt. This is such a human question, isn't it? You can feel the weight of it. He's not questioning God's power to deliver. He's questioning his own qualifications. Who am I? He's thinking, I'm just a shepherd. I'm a wanted man back in Egypt. How on earth could I be the one to go and confront the most powerful ruler on the planet? And just look at God's answer. He doesn't list all of Moses' hidden skills or talents. He doesn't say, "Oh, you're more capable than you think." He simply says, "Certainly I will be with thee." The answer to Moses' feeling of inadequacy wasn't about boosting Moses' confidence in himself. It was about God's presence with him. That was the only qualification that ever mattered. But the conversation doesn't stop there. It actually goes deeper. Moses' questions get bolder. He moves from asking, "Who am I?" to asking the most important question of all, "Who are you?" He knows that the Israelites, who have been enslaved for generations, are going to ask who sent him. They'll want to know the authority behind this crazy message of deliverance. And you have to remember, a name back then wasn't just a label. It represented a person's entire character, their power, their very nature. Moses is asking for the divine authority he needs to even be heard. And God's response? Well, it's one of the most profound and powerful statements in all of Scripture. He tells Moses, "I am that I am." Then he says, "Tell them I am has sent you." This is so much more than a name. It's a declaration of eternal, self-existent, all-sufficient being. This name reveals the very nature of God. He doesn't depend on anything or anyone to exist. He is the uncreated creator, the source of absolutely everything. He just is. And for the people of Israel suffering in slavery, this name was everything. It was a promise that the God of their fathers, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, wasn't just a distant memory. He was powerfully present with them, right then and there.
So, with his authority now established by the very name of God himself, Moses gets his specific instructions. This isn't just a vague, "go free my people." No, this is a detailed, strategic plan for their liberation.
God's plan is so clear and methodical. Okay, Moses, first things first, you're going to gather the elders of Israel, get them on board. Second, you are going to go straight to the source of the problem and confront Pharaoh with my message. And finally, you will lead the people out of this bondage and toward the land I promised their ancestors, a land flowing with milk and honey. But God also prepares Moses for the tough road ahead. He tells him straight up, Pharaoh is not going to cooperate. His heart will be hard. But that resistance isn't going to stop God's plan. In fact, it's just going to set the stage for God to display his incredible power and his wonders, making the final deliverance that much more miraculous. And the whole commission ends with this beautiful promise of provision and justice. Think about it. After centuries of slave labor, God declares that the Israelites will not leave empty-handed. He says they will find favor with the Egyptians and receive silver and gold from them. In this stunning act of divine reversal, the wealth of the oppressors is freely given to the oppressed as they leave. In the end, the story of the burning bush is just this powerful reminder that God still meets us in the ordinary, quiet places of our lives and calls us to do extraordinary things. It really leaves us with a question, doesn't it? What is the unconsumed fire in our own world that we need to stop and investigate? What is the holy ground in your life where God might be calling you to take off your shoes, to humble yourself, and to just listen?